Welcome, everybody. I'm so pleased you're able to join us, and we get to talk with Liz Murphy and Dylan Wald. And we're about to see 1,000 Pieces, which is a work that they were so very central to. You probably know that Alejandro Cerritos is our new resident choreographer, and that tenure is just beginning. And these are two of his favorites. He's very interested in every dancer in this company, but he's worked quite a bit with these two, so they'll share their insights. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. And really what I want to hear from them, we're all under this stay-at-home order right now, and just kind of how you guys are dealing with it, because it's not a typical dancer's life, not a typical human's life by any means, but I gather you're coping. Liz, tell us how it's going.
Yeah, so, it's been a bit challenging, I think, in the beginning, especially to find some sort of order in all of this. But I found kind of creating a schedule for myself really helped. And, most days start with some exercise and doing some kind of ballet bar. And then my husband and I do a lot of house projects, and that really keeps us pretty occupied. And yeah, that's really what we've been doing, try to enjoy the outside, and the weather's been amazing. So those are the positives.
Good for you. Dylan.
Yeah, it's definitely been a lot of ups and downs, and I think there'll continue to be with how information is being portrayed to us and everything, so week to week. So that's kind of been hard to deal with. And what also has been getting increasingly more difficult is dance for me, and watching dance and even dancing in my home, just because it feels like it's such a huge part of who I am and who we are. And I know I was saying this to someone else, that like I feel like I was taking dance classes before I was even forming like sentences. So it's so much more than just what I do. It's who I am. So it's been really, really hard, but yeah, we're just trying to find positives in every day and do something different and fun, and explore different realms of life.
I remember when I was a dancer, injuries, they were so sudden, and I didn't feel like I had my identity anymore. It was just taken away from me because my whole identity was in how I danced. It just was who I was. And limping, I didn't exist.
Yeah.
And this is a new sensation because you guys aren't injured. You could be dancing beautifully right now if we just get that access. This audience is lucky that they're going to watch you dance now, even though it was recorded. That night was a special night. It was a sad night. This was right at the time that a stay-at-home order was imminent. Schools were closing. You stopped seeing people on the streets and in restaurants, and we knew this was coming. We were sort of holding on because you guys had been working for weeks so hard to pull this ballet together, and also Empire Noir, which you were both in. What did the night feel like? I mean, just emotionally backstage. Liz, what was the mood?
Yeah, it was really strange. I think there were lots of feelings we were all kind of dealing with. I mean, in part, this global pandemic, starting. So that's, a lot to deal with. And then, kind of this, to me, it felt a bit like a crashing of this community that I felt like I didn't even have a full grasp on, like what, it meant to me to be able to like share my art, because that's always been something that we've had the fortune to be able to do. Yeah, and then to feel that being sucked away, I think that maybe the upside is I feel like there's this newfound gratitude for what it really means to be able to perform and share and have such wonderful, supportive audiences, that love the art as much as we do. And yeah, it was really intense, backstage, and we're all saying goodbye to something we love so much, and just wanting to, at least be able to share it with the audiences online. Yeah.
You're so right, though. I think our value for what we do, not just ours within something like PNB, but the world's value for what we do really has become evident in this time. Mm-hmm. Dylan, the mood on the night, this rehearsal that we're about to watch?
Yeah, it was a crazy week because it all came so fast, and I feel like we are in such a bubble when we're rehearsing these types of ballets. And I know Liz and I were in rehearsals for 6 hours a day. I mean, touching each other in the studio, like there was nothing else going on. It was the work and the performances. And then for that to be kind of taken away, and not really understanding the extent of what was going on, that was really hard, and definitely something I haven't experienced before. So yeah, that's kind of.
That's why don't we shift to something positive and happy? Talk to me about the first time. I'm not sure which work that was that you encountered. I mean, it could have even been online or seeing a live performance when you encountered Alejandro Cerritos' choreography. And did it speak to you? Did it hold a special place immediately?
Want me to go?
Sure.
Sure.
So actually, I attended the Hubbard Street summer course between my PD year and my apprentice year with the company, and we learned lots of 1,000 pieces in that summer course. And Alejandro wasn't there, but a lot of people that did his work, taught it and staged it, and it was kind of like what the course was set up around was 1,000 pieces. So that was really, really cool, and we got to watch it, and I mean, it was amazing coming from a place that didn't really have a lot of dance and just being more exposed to more things. And then when it was programmed for a Little Mortal Jump to come on the program, which I think was the second work that PNB did with Cerrudo, but the first work that I was in the company that he did, I was just so excited to work with him.
So we had a team that helped put this piece together that include Ana Lopez and Pablo Piantino. Dylan, were you working with those two at Hubbard Street?
No, not them.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Liz, what was your first encounter with Alejandro's choreography?
Well, he was coming to PNB to stage a new work, and it became Memory Glow. And going into those rehearsals, I hadn't ever been cast in a piece like that before, and it was something that I've always really enjoyed watching. Like I always found when I was looking up dance on YouTube, I'd always end up down this like rabbit hole of those more contemporary works. And so my heart loved it, but I didn't know it was something that was for me. Like I usually did a lot more classical works. And so I was really surprised when I got cast in it. And I was super nervous about it too. And then I was in there with Leah Merchant, who was like, the queen of contemporary, and Rachel, and I remember feeling really nervous and intimidated by it all, but I immediately fell in love with his work and his movement. And I think that was kind of, he was just starting to get really popular. I remember there wasn't even that much on YouTube with his work at the time when we did Memory Glow, and now it's everywhere, which is amazing, and well deserved. So it was a bit of a surprise. I didn't really know what to expect because it wasn't, he wasn't someone that I could just Google and watch a ton of videos and be like, oh, that's what it's like. So it was kind of discovering, what he wanted with him, which I think was really cool. And it was just so fluid in the way it just moves in your body. Like I just fell in love, I think, in the first day of working with him, and he really helped coach and bring that out in my dancing, I think. From someone who was only comfortable in classical to help coach that was really cool.
You both took to it so naturally, and I think there's your individual strengths as dancers that took to it, but the partnership was also special, I think, between the two of you for several works now that we've seen. The duet that you had at the end of Little Mortal Jump to Philip Glass music was probably more powerful than you guys even realized doing it. But there's so many opportunities in 1,000 pieces as well. How do you feel about Philip Glass? What's the relationship between him as a composer to you as a dancer?
I mean, yeah, the music speaks for itself. It's so beautiful. It feels like it can just like sit in my body, and I want to embody it so much because of just how rich and full and beautiful it is. I mean, I think as dancers, we just have such a strong connection to music, but yeah, particularly Philip Glass, I find extremely satisfying to dance to.
We had the good fortune of some of our musicians coming into the studio for rehearsals. What's it like when you have musicians sitting there next to you while you're in the rehearsal studio, Liz?
I love it. I mean, it brings another life to the experience. You know, you're listening to a recording, and sometimes I think you can get used to like certain phrasing, and you kind of get used to the music. The first time you hear it, you know, it really, I don't know, light something up in you. And then hearing it live, it's, you know, the same process all over again. And, you know, they're artists too, and they're, you know, embodying this work as well. And so I think that collaboration is, you know, pretty special between dancer and musician.
I think they feel it's such a privilege to enter that sacred space because they're not always in there contributing, and yet they do on the stage, of course. I was going to ask you, this piece seemed to be one of the greatest sort of mental exercises of pieces that we've done. There's certain times that I will walk the halls, and I know a piece is hard because there's little groups of dancers in silent gatherings around the building going over steps in 3 and 4 and 5. And there's quiet corrections going on. But was this one of the most challenging to sort of take it all in? It's a long ballet. There's a lot of sections. What were the particular challenges?
Yeah, I think I remember this experience so positively now because I'm so, you know, I miss it so much. I'm so grateful to have had it. But yeah, thinking back, I mean, there were lots of days that Liz and I were in near tears trying to learn all this material. It was so dense. There were so many steps. I mean, if you counted the steps in the ballet, I don't know, there would be so many steps. But yeah, it was nice to go through with Liz, and we do have that relationship and partnering a lot together. So I think we just helped each other out the best we could and went over it as much as we could and watched the videos and yeah, tried our best.
Yeah, there was a lot more video watching every night. I mean, hours of it just to stay on top of everything. I think this is, I mean, it's like a contemporary full length, you know, there's that many steps and that many details. And unlike with ballet, you don't have this traditional vocabulary that you can pull from. It's almost like speaking a different, like trying to memorize a speech in a different language. Like, you know, it's a lot harder.
You guys have to lean on each other on stage during for timing and memory?
Well, I think by the time we got on stage, it was pretty much in our memory and in our body. But in the rehearsals, absolutely, I would, you know, there'd be a moment when we'd pause, or I'd turn to him and be like, I don't know what's next, and he'd just sweep me up into the next thing, and then he'd be like, I don't know what's next, and I like pull him over. So there's I'm glad we have that close partnership, so we can really
and the work calls for it. The work calls for, you know, me to initiate this movement and then for you to initiate that movement. So it becomes, like a conversation that is rehearsed and nice and fluid.
There's so many elements to that piece. I mean, there's a lot of traffic, there's panels moving. The one that I want to ask about, which people will be so curious about, what is the water like? I mean, what was it like the first time to rehearse in that? What are the beauties of it or the challenges of it?
Well, I think it was I mean, it was slippery. They had a special marley that kind of helps it not be too slippery. I think the first day we all realized that it made you soar in a very different way, rehearsing in the water versus rehearsing out of the water. You just really had to, I mean, you had to grip a little more, and usually in more contemporary works, you really ground and try to like relax into the floor. But if you did that, your feet would just start sliding apart and not really stop. So.
Sorry.
Sorry, Dylan, you go ahead.
They really prepared us because, you know, they kind of did the whole trial and error process at Hubbard Street. And so I think they really were like very cautious, and we're like, it's like this, and that, and you're going to feel this, and that. And I mean, we had Anna there who did the part, and so she's like, yeah, this part's really awkward, or this part, you know, feels nice. And so yeah, that was nice to have that kind of going into it. Some
of the funniest moments for me watching were when you didn't have the water, but you were rehearsing the water. It doesn't work at all.
But
What's Alejandro like in the studio with you? Is it sort of a peer relationship, a mentor relationship? Do you laugh, or is he dancing with you? Tell us what the process is like with him.
Lizzie, you've worked with him more, so I think you should take this one.
I feel like he's a joy to work with. He's very, very particular, and I feel like that's something that, makes his work so fantastic. So it's always I don't know, I always feel like that I'm growing towards something. It's like there's never a sense of complete arrival, which is something that I really enjoy. Like I love that process and the, kind of peeling back layers and making it even greater. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. He's like soft spoken in a way. So I don't know. It's like a quiet power, but he definitely, anytime he speaks, like everybody just, he's not this like loud, big presence in the front of the room, but it's like, but he still like commands it in a way. And I think a lot of people really are just into anything that he has to offer and say, and really all ears.
Yeah. Dylan, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, his team and him are so specific to what it should feel like and the intention of the movement. And I just think we respect him and his work and the team so much that we would do anything. So it's like, and he also is kind of one of those mentors that is always going to push you for more, always, 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 like never satisfied. And, some days that's hard, because you want that kind of gratification of like, have I done it? Is it good enough? But it's you learn to really, really appreciate that process of it never really getting anywhere. Just keep working, keep working, keep working. So
yeah, and it kind of accepting that journey, that it's like always a journey, I think is like really good mentality to approach that kind of work. And you just trust him so much because that if he says, and that was it, you're like, okay, I can trust that was good.
I know his feeling about this piece was it's so rich and dense. I think he felt this dress rehearsal got to one place, but performance was going to go higher and there was still more to attain. To me, he was sort of like a painter that just couldn't quite put down the brush. Like I just thought, what if there's a little more yellow over there if I blend it with the orange over there? And I like that it isn't a stamp. It isn't you trying to be Anna or you trying to be Pablo. It's something that's created on the spot. It feels very live and it feels like it would continue to grow and evolve. Listen, we have coming up in future seasons, I know you know this, but we're going to revisit Silent Ghost, we're going to revisit Little Mortal Jump, and we're going to have Alejandro making new works on us. Anything that's in his body of work that you want to tell your boss to program right now?
Oh my gosh.
I watched this parada that he did between two women, actually, Cloudless, and it is so beautiful. I just think there are dancers in our company that would just be so beautiful doing that work. I would love to see that.
I'm getting a pen. Right. Cloudless.
Cloudless, yeah. There's an excerpt on YouTube with Anna and who is it? Who's the other one? Alice. Yeah.
Oh, Alice. Sorry.
Alice, yeah.
Actually, Alejandro and Anna have recommended it as well, so it's on my list.
Oh, it is so beautiful. Yeah. I would love that.
Is anything that you are?
I love his the three men, kind of the dark lit one. Papa Puba Pato. It's like 3 P words. That one looks fun. Yeah. That
one's the funny one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that at McCaw Hall. It was brilliant. Yeah, it was great.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Well, listen, you guys, thank you so much for taking the time to talk. I wish we were doing this in person. I wish we were seeing you dance live, but we're doing the next best thing, which is to have a dialogue with you and also to see your beautiful performance. So thank you for joining me.